what we're going to do is we are going to explore what we call competitive automation, or what I call competitive intelligence automation. And what that means is we're going to look at a lot of competitors tonight, or look at ways to see a lot of competitors. We've adjusted the format of the program. In the past, I would just show you one, basically show the audience one automation and say, this is how it works. This is what you do. Contact me if you want to try it, and that's it. But the feedback I've been getting is, well, we want to see different styles of automations. We want to see how they work. And so can you walk us through a few different automations? So tonight we have 4 different competitor tracking, social media, just news scraper, even a competitor price comparison automation. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. And we have an hour. I think we got the room for an hour and a half. But generally, for something like this, there's a lot to it. And if we go the whole hour and a half, it's kind of, we're all full, and it's a little too much. So thinking about that, I'm glad all of you are here. I'm so excited about this, because this is one of those things that as a startup founder is, new chat, somebody send a meeting group chat or whatever. Startup founder, this is something we need to know, but do we have the time? Do we have the time to sit down and go through all of our competitors and what are they doing? How are they doing it? Hopefully you have enough of a new or original idea as a startup, and that's where we come into yeah, well, and that, yes, the recording will be sent to attendees, okay, but it doesn't always happen. I've set it up so it will, but it doesn't always happen. But I have a way for you to make sure that you get it anyway. And so I'll share with that later. Why does it keep saying I haven't seen all my messages? Is there a hiding message? Is it an ad? Oh no, that's a net. Sorry, net. Okay, well, I don't know who that other chat is. So anyway, for those of you who are regulars, this is every other week and Mayor's assistant is telling Otter we're doing it. Okay, every other week we at Founders Institute Hong Kong, and we are hosting these AI sessions. What our goal is to help you, startup founders, small business owners, to kick up your AI knowledge, skills, and abilities to run your company better. So I can, hello, Leo, move this. I'm going to move that out of the way. And I'm going to make this smaller. And ta-da, here we go. Right now, I'm going, oh, I haven't shared it yet. Wow. Good turnout tonight. Love it. Okay. Let's see, here we go. Okay, again, for those of you who showed up without and missed my first introduction, right, what we're doing here tonight is we're doing it a little bit differently. In the past, I would show you how I created one, basically one automation. But I got feedback from many saying, can you show us how to do more different styles of automations? So we're going to touch on okay, so I'm surfing the web and I see one of my competitors, and so what can I do? So that's going to be one. Another one is just tracking social media growth of a competitor or competitors. Then competitive news, what news is in my industry. Okay, and that was the general industry, but you can narrow it down. And then a price comparison, where you can go check out different competitors' prices. And we'll use Nike since they're on the bottom of the rung anyway. But let's start first with, I'm surfing the internet and I see one of my competitors, or I'm in LinkedIn and I see a competitor and they're doing something. Okay. And so I'm like, oh, wow. I want to track that. I want to keep track of that, because our competitor just did something where they're promoting themselves in a certain new way. I really need to know, what is that? And now when you're saying, but if I'm a startup, why would I be worried about my competitors? Well, as a startup, no matter how original your idea is, if it's good, somebody else is going to follow and maybe even jump in there. And so you will have that competition. I have done a lot of work in the university space with innovation, and I should say university, in Founders Institute. And before I worked in university, after I worked in university, I was always in innovation. And one of the keys to innovation is not doing what your customers do, meaning you are setting your own trail, but you still want to keep track. Okay. But you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it. And that's what the automations are for. So this first one is the master social. Okay. And you can probably see it, but I'll walk you through a little bit. I'm surfing the internet and I see a competitor. Well, I grab the URL and I put it into into Telegram. Why do we use Telegram? It's free, right? And it's free to create a bot in Telegram. You don't need to do all the heavy lifting like you do in WhatsApp and get the business account and all of that. If you already have a business account, you're already paying for it, you use WhatsApp. It's a similar process to hook up, not that big a deal. But so I get this, I have a URL, I put it into my text classifier. It's going to say, is this from LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, or is it from X? Okay. And I have a little Google Gemini chat. I'm using Gemini because in N8N, this automation engine, we have, they use Gemini. Okay. And if you have a business account like I do, or an enterprise account, then you're using Gemini 3 Pro. Right? And I'll get to that later. But that's why we're using it. And I guess this week, OpenAI came out with their 5.2, just to say they're a little bit better here and there. And fair enough, it's better here and there. But how much are we going to keep switching back and forth, right? And we know Google's going to be around. We don't know with AI. I mean, I hope. Sam Altman is just an incredibly ambitious person, and so I hope it keeps going. But there's a flywheel going on over there that even my founders in Silicon Valley are wondering about it. Anyway, so real quick, this is I have using Appify.com, and basically what I do is I use Appify. It's going to go in and it's going to give me the information I need. It's going to check my authorization. There's my bear, and then now I have Appify, and it's now, and it's going to do that with LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and X. Then it will find the road. Do I have them? Is this a competitor? Huh? And if it's, and it will say, do I did I notice this before? If not, then boom, we go into merge and there we go. Then we have a record of all of those LinkedIn. And a lot of the automations that I do, that I create, especially for the Founders Institute here, is they are fast. They're on the go. They're on the fly. And basically, you're using Telegram. You'll always have And so you can just boom, set it up and go right away. And that is where I suggest you be, because this is not something that you want to go back to your desk and do. You want to go back to your desk and finish the other ones. Anyway, so there's the LinkedIn, and then we do Instagram Reel Scraper, and then basically they'll check and see, it's in here. Okay, and if it's in there, then it will send over here and say, we already have this. Okay, so that's the first one. That's a master social, and it's looking at all of these, and now these triggers that I'm showing you are interchangeable. Basically, you could set it up to be a cron, day night, Monday morning, and scrape it that way. All right, and that's why I wanted to show you several of these, so you can see several different versions, like the Telegram one. I'm surfing the internet, or I'm looking at LinkedIn, and I find something, or on YouTube, I found something. Right then, you can fix it, set it in here, and set it, forget it. Right? But what if you wanted to send, here we have a scheduled trigger, and this one we can set this up to use, basically track my social media, X, YouTube followers, or you can set it up to track others. Okay, now other meaning you have your competitors. What did they use, or what are they doing? And so it's a cron job. And this one is looking at growth, profile metrics, and then I'm saving it to what we call a table. Okay, is in. Open it back in here. Okay, so in N8N, they've introduced these tables, so you don't need to go out to a Google spreadsheet, and you don't need to go to Airtable, which I have some examples of Airtable, or you don't. And so what it does is it's much faster, and especially if you want to keep track. So here it will, every Sunday it will go check how's the X, and for the username you choose, you can choose you, or you can choose others, and then you can keep track of those profile metrics and then save them. Okay. The one thing about this table, which I like the table idea because then I don't have to think about something else, but the table is in N8N, and so I have a solution for that, and I'll get to it in a minute. But if you save it to, say, Google Sheets, you have it in your phone, on your desk, on your desktop. So you've got it there with you. And so that's just another step that you want to think about. Last 2 weeks ago when we did finance, the whole idea was to automate your finances so they're easy. They're easy to use, they're easy to take care of, they're easy to watch and track. Right? And the best part is you've got up to the minute analytics, because you can, right? You set everything up, you hook it all up to your bank. Well, and I should say up to the minute, up to the day, because one of the things we set up was to have your bank daily have a download from your bank, and automated, of course. So then you can update all of your credits and debits and profit and loss, and are we on budget, because these are things that you can automate. If you can have it automated, it's a safer bet. And yes, when I say safer bet, I mean investors are going to, they like automated, because that means you are spending more time doing, getting customers and helping customers. So again, we've got users in X, YouTube, we could put Instagram in here, but I just wanted to help you see subscribers and followers. So now you're comparing you and someone else that day, or on an ongoing basis. and this will give you a historical. So now this is a way to compare week to week, and it'll send you an email message, or we can set it up to send you a message on Telegram, and I will get to that and the benefits and drawbacks of that in a minute. So, but it's wherever you can get it and spend the least amount of time on it for the most impact. So as we are going forward, we still need to have that human in the loop. Okay. And somehow when you're creating automations, create them so that you can do regular checking, because when something goes wrong, it goes a little bit wrong, and then a little bit more wrong, and a little bit more wrong. And in next week, we will, or in the next session, which will be after Christmas. So don't worry, it won't be next week. But in the next session, we will be looking at how to check, okay, and evaluate and put in checks and balances in your automations so that you can check, is this accurate? How is it working? Is it giving me the responses I need? And more importantly, if you start putting, not if, but when you start creating automations for customers who are asking questions, is this giving them the right answers? And we can start to evaluate that. We do some test evaluation first, and then we do that ongoing evaluation later and set it up so where at the end of the week you can get an evaluation. Is it, are we 100% all week at accurate answers? And so when we're looking at social media growth, well, that's not as important as making sure your checks and balances. Okay? It's not as important as getting those customers. And so that's why we want to automate this. It takes less time. We don't need to use it as much. And it's much easier for you as a founder to keep track of things. Okay? So that's two. First is the social media scraper. And that one we use, like I said, with Telegram. This one is the scheduled trigger. Okay. And so it's on Sunday. It's going to look, okay, what are the numbers? And what's today? The last Monday, and send you an email or send you a telegram. And then you can say, oh, my competitor is going up or going down. Okay? But is that the most important? No, for some, maybe. Okay, especially if you are doing most of your work on using social media, this is a very important one. Right? But many founders and startups are not. And so let's look at moving into the competitive news. Okay, so what's the competitive news? Right. Well, I'm going to dive into this one and kind of go through each step so you guys can see them. So here's my cron, okay, my weekly trigger, okay, and it's set up to where I set it up every 7 days, and it's going to do it at 8 a.m. I'm actually thinking Sunday night would be a better thing. What's it do? Well, it's going to say start. Basically, that's what a trigger is. But then it will go to my RRS feed, which for me, I'm using Google News. Okay? And what I'm doing is I told it to go look at technology, artificial intelligence. And that's a broad category. And so that's quite a bit of information. But as I say that, once you get that, we can have the AI actually narrow it down. So we go in, and every Sunday I'm going to tell it to look for, I did it today just to test it for you guys. But every Sunday it's going to go look for artificial intelligence and technology. And you can narrow these things down, but I try not to, because if I narrow it down too far, I'm going to miss some of those key items. And I'll get to that later. And so what it does here is it's going to filter the last 7 days. And so it's got the different articles, title, link, publication date, and content. So if I need to, I need to go back and get it, right? Then I can. But then I'm just, saying those 7 days. Then in this case, give me 70 items, okay, from the last 7 days. So now I have these items. So I've got the link if I need it, but the link, it gets to be a lot. So especially since it's through the Google News. Now I'm preparing the data, just getting it ready, the title, the summary, the link, and then the date. Right? And what I'm doing with these is I'm now sending them to a Google Sheet. And why am I sending them to Google Sheet? Well, this is something that I want to be a regular occurrence. Every week, it's going to give me the latest articles. Then at the end of the month, and I haven't set up an automation for this, though I could. I can have it upload this last month into Gemini or GPT and say, what are trends? What has changed in what are these articles trending? What is changing in these articles? And that's a pretty cool thing, because now we've got that big picture that we didn't have before. If I read through them, I could say, something different from last month. And what is it? I really can't remember. I don't know. But that's not okay. But now we can, I can just upload all of these. AI's chief of communications leaving. From Wired, TechCrunch says that Google's dark web report feature no longer available. Who cares? Threads new, right? And you can see that over here, these are changing as I hover over the articles. But this is huge, because now we've got a quick little micro TV is coming. But why? Right? We've got a phone. Anyway, I'm teasing some of these ideas, but what this does is it allows us to get a bigger picture on the technology and artificial intelligence world, and then it takes this output, and it puts it into a spreadsheet. And in my spreadsheet, I have my timestamp of the date that I put it in there, the title, the story, the summary, and then the date. And so, I should say the date published. These are important because if I need to go back, or I want to go back, I can go back. And the date I put it in there is just my ADD wanting to make sure that I've got a way to go back and look at it. And that's it. But remember, all of these things are automatic. They're autonomic, so they sorry, then didn't notice that you went there. So because they're automatic, you can just have them run. And but the key, though, like I mentioned before, where's that master social scraper? All of these spreadsheets, you can go back and not that one. Okay. Here is an example. Okay, here, so you guys can see it. So here it is. These are those articles that we're looking at. And at the end of the month, I upload this to, and obviously I'm done this special for you guys, so I already do my own. But the main thing is I can upload it to Gemini at the end of the month and get a big picture kind of summary of what's happening in this space. So when you are running into competition, then we can, in a very accurate way, source it out, send it out, and see what's happening. What do I need to watch out for? And you can do this, for the competitive. I've done it for when I used the RRS, I did Google News, but I did global technology, artificial intelligence. You can narrow it down to local, Hong Kong, or Southeast Asia, technology, artificial intelligence, or whatever is your niche. You can do that. Okay? But again, be careful of niching it down too much, because you may miss someone who is a competitor, and they don't show up on your radar. And if they're not on your radar, then how do you know whether or not they're coming? And so, and again, in this we're just looking at general news. And this one we looked at social media growth. And this one we looked at scraping social media. And these are, basically you're getting the latest, greatest from them. Okay. And there is, so what if I want to take some of these articles and create something myself? Well, you can do that. You can actually create, I think I have one right here somewhere. I don't know where it is. But you can create your own content based on your take of, say, this global news. And algorithms they favor local recent news. And I hate to say that, because that means your evergreen content doesn't have a chance. But then we could do like Tony Robbins does. I don't know if you even follow or watch Tony Robbins, but he uses his evergreen content, but he will put it in the context of daily interactions or recent events. So what that means is he has the same story that he published in his, Unstoppable Me or whatever, and those first books. It's the same story that was in those books, but he puts it in a context of recent events. So boom, he gets higher in the algorithms. And so you guys can do the same thing. You're taking some of these articles and, how does this affect your company? How is your small business reacting to something like this? And boom, there you go. And I have from 4 weeks ago, I think it was like 6 weeks ago. Well, I demonstrated an AI automation that actually takes an article, okay, a discussion that you have. So say like for me, I'm a coach, right? I have someone that I'm talking to, I'm telling a story. Well, that story can get picked up and out of, none of the details in that conversation. And so far it hasn't. I've been checking for the last 30 days, but it takes my story that I tell, just like I can use this session tonight, the Fathom recording, takes the story, and then boom, it's now got 3 LinkedIn posts, just like that. And that means now, if I can take these ideas, mix it with what I'm talking about tonight, boom, I've got 3 more LinkedIn posts that are very much my style, very much my words, okay, and they're in my what we call voice. And so that's where these, this competitive intelligence is not just saying, oh, okay, what are they doing? But it's also saying, what are they doing? How can I use it? And will it affect me? Okay. And so for these big trends, these are large trends that are going, are they going to affect most of us? No. But if we start to see more and more and more articles about a certain topic or a certain game, then how we start to ask, will that affect or and bring it to be competition for our company? Okay, and so this is really why we're looking at competition. We're not just looking at competition to see are we ahead or behind. We're looking at competition so we can learn from them. We're looking at competition so yes, well, if we're behind and we learned that we need to catch up, or we can say they are growing quite quickly, even though they're not direct competition. What are they doing? And because we're looking at, here's just metrics, but here we're looking at their actual, what are they posting? And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But if they're scraping LinkedIn for their posts, right, then we can go say, what did they say in their posts? And wow, they're growing quite quickly in LinkedIn or in YouTube or X. Then they must be doing something right. What can we learn from that and make us more effective? Okay, so we're almost done, but the last one is the competitor price comparison. What do I mean by that? Well, in this situation, I'm going to center it here a little bit. I know this is a lot to look at. Apologies, but I wanted to show the basic and the advanced of best. Okay, so say every Sunday I'm going to, or more often, and if you're in a price sensitive industry where prices go up and down, or there are sales and things like that, where you need to keep track of that, you want to run it more often. But again, too much data gets to be too much data. And just like I said before, I can put it all into Google Sheet, and then I can, at the end of the month, upload that Google Sheet and say, give me, look at this and give me some trends. Because I put it into Gemini or GPT. So this, get Nike products. And so basically I'm scraping the websites that I gave it to go look at. And so this one's actually looking at a competitor's website. A retailer, she's an online retailer of custom made jewelry. And so this is something that we created for her, so where she could keep track of a couple of other players in her, in her niche market. It's custom accessories. And so now she's going to put just those websites in. We're up here, we scraped social. Here we counted social. Here we did the big picture of news. But now here we're looking at competitors' websites. And then we change it to Markdown. Then we're basically looking at the LM, and we're changing the output and putting it into a sheet. Just checking out what products are they doing. Well, now we're looking down here. So it's Nike products, let's say sporting goods. Then we're going to say these are the things that we sell. For my client, it was accessories, but I didn't want to put that on there because I didn't want to give it away. So then we split out the information, okay, and then we are going to go look at their website and other websites, and then we will edit the fields, kind of put it all back together, and again, we'll put it back into a Google Sheet. Okay, one is to check and see if it is in a Google Sheet. The second is to add it to the Google Sheet. Okay, so that's the clarity there. So I'm sure somebody's going to send me a message. Why were there two Google Sheets? One to check, one to put it in there. Right? And then the last, if they are lower price, okay, that's what this one is, right? This last, is the output. Okay, it is output result, and it is lower. So if it's lower, then it will come up here, lower price detected. It's going to send me a Telegram message to my bot, letting me know this is a price, the product, the competitor URL, competitor price, our price, right away. Because for this client, that was important, because she, quite price sensitive, and if she can raise things, keep it at a good high price, that's important. But if she can be notified in real time, pretty much, okay, that the prices are going down, then she can adjust to that and talk to her customers and let them know. Okay. So then this last one again. So this one is kind of a summary where in the end, we're doing the same process with the price check, but this one is kind of at the end of the day where, you know, we're now at the end of the day, we want to kind of have that summary. And again, you know, is the price lower at the end of the day? Okay. So this is pretty much in real time. And this one is in a summary for the end of the day. Why this different is these are two sheets, okay? And these are two different sheets. These are going to have a lot of changes during the day. And this one's going to be just a summary at the end of the day. And why are we doing this? Because there are competitors out there who are lowering their prices during the day. But then at the end of the day, their published prices are the same, right? And so that's important for you to know is, well, their prices are always the same at the end of the day. What's going on? How come we're not doing that? But yet they're selling more. What's happening? Well, if you've got this fluctuation during the day, you can check and see what that is. Now, would I look at these every day? No. Yes, I'm going to look at when it sends me a flag saying that there's a lower price. But when I say, would I look at these every day? I'm not going to. But at the end of the month, if I've got hundreds of price changes that are going up and down during the day, yes, it's flagged me, but you know, that just tells me that I need to be aware of it. But it's going up and down during the day, and I'm like, ooh, wow. And then I've only got, you know, every day there's the same price as us at the end of the day. What's going on? And now we can start to track, but you put it into Gemini, or put it into GPT, let it figure it out. Because Gemini and GPT, they're the ones that can take that big picture and within seconds, you know, come up with a much better profile. Okay. And so when I was preparing for this, talking to founders and saying, what would you guys like? Okay. And so things like Google Trends came up. Okay. Things like, you know, Google News and Google Alerts, because you can set up Google to do those things. And they're great. You know, they're really cool. But when you set up a Google Alert, you got to go to Google to do it, or you can have it send you an email. And email means you're sitting down doing email. And yes, you got to do it. But that means, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I try to spend as little time doing email as I absolutely positively can. That means I'm going through, checking, do I need to, is this important information? Is this not important information? And is this a sample I want? And, you know, because I collect junk mail, not a lot of junk mail, but just certain kinds. But I collect it to, again, like I said, at the end of the month, I will run it through GPT or Gemini and say, what are some trends that you see in these emails? And so, and that's a pretty important thing for me. I don't know about you, but when we're looking at competitor comparisons, we may not see much here. We may not see much here. We may not see much here. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, or end of the quarter, we may see some huge changes, but they're just a little bit every day, right? And so that just goes to that 1 inch a day can move an elephant, right? But if it's just 1 inch a day, we don't notice it. 1 inch a week, we don't notice it. But when we can take all of this information that we're collecting from all of these, and then at the end of the month, we upload it into Gemini and GPT, they can give us this is where the competitive news, this is where this world is going. right? Then we see that your competitor has moved to this, and because they are using, these are the different trends we're seeing in their posts. They're going to much more value added posts and much less, advertising posts. Okay. And, frankly, we should all be doing that. We should all be just giving away knowledge and information, because that builds trust. And when we build trust, then we get more hits, we get more customers, tractions, and the traction in the end leads to that investment. Or, when Google sees what you do is better than what they have in-house, then they come and write you that $8 million check. Seriously, right? Because it'll cost them more to start a company and get it going than it will be to just give you an $8 million check for what you've already done. And that's the key. We want to, this is startup world. It's fast. It's easy to get in. Well, sometimes it's harder to get in, but you get in, test that idea, and then if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then hey, no harm, no foul. But if you're getting to the investment stage, that investment stage is definitely, where you want to make sure that you've got all of your ducks in a row. You want to make sure, just like 2 weeks ago, we talked about finance, where if you can say to an investor, and they can see it in your data room, how you are up to date in your finances. And you've got transactions from today in there. You've got your bank statement and bank transactions from today in there. Then that builds trust. And if there's someone going to buy, spend they're going to invest in your company or buy your company, they need to be able to trust you. And that is huge, that trust, and building it quickly, effectively. And that's where you want to be with your programming, with everything you do. And now we can do that. As a small, yes, English is my first language. As a startup founder back in the day, I didn't have time to look at competition. I didn't even want to look at that because it would take too long. But now that's a limiting belief, because I can set up these automations, let them run. They can give me information that I need, want, use, and there you go. And so that's why this is something that is so important in this day and age. And so let's see, I have some more for you. One of my, let's see, I'm going to leave magnets. I'm going to share an automation with you guys. And here it is. I don't know why I know that. What this is it's a analyze any website with Gemini and get a one-page SEO audit. It takes about 5 minutes. Right. Last time I shared this with the group, and I got an email that said, "Hey, we didn't get it," and then, wait, just got it. So it takes a minute there, but so here it is. Let me share. Oh, let me just go like this, go like that. Test production URL. There we go. Does that do it? Yeah, there you go. So what this does is I'm going to share this in the chat. Okay, and so there, that's in the chat. Annette, welcome back. Bonobo demo here, getting collected competitive data for pricing or social into Gemini. Yeah. Let's see. So the question was, can I can I don't have sample data, but okay. So that's a good question, Lenovo. And how do I do that? Well, I'm going to, let's just say with this one, I'm going to download Microsoft Excel. Okay. And it's going to go down. Okay. Then I go into Gemini. XE. You can tell I've been working on X all day. This, okay. Okay, so what I've done here is, okay, so here is the role that you're playing. Okay, so many use act as, I'm in a habit of using you are. Then you're asking what you want to do. Okay, identify any trends, list them in table form, and how you want them, what form you want that out of, and I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yeah, there we go. And I don't know how my data is going to be, because I created this for you guys as a demo because I don't want to show my my customers info. But so now that's it. You can tell it, okay, well, is there a change from this month to last month? Then you upload last month and then upload this month, and and then that's all you gotta do. But again, you will know what you need to do and what analysis and formats that you guys need. And so I don't know why it's asking me to show code. Okay. I've analyzed the competitive dash. Okay, so crisis of AI quality and trust. Okay, now that one's a big one. Okay, high relevance AI shifting to edge. So that's got a couple of articles. Yeah, supporting evidence, article themes. Okay, competitive and talent volatility. Okay, so ecosystem. So even though it's just been 1 week, what are some trends? Okay, low relevance, general tech security, and platform shifts. Okay, Google is retiring its dark web report. Okay, well, so then this is just on 1 week. What are some trends? You can do it for the whole month, and you can have a lot more. But that's it. So good question, Lenovo. Okay, and so now I've added the SEO. Okay, and I just love this one because so it's published, and so it runs automatically. And you guys put it just does 1 page, but it does a really good job. And it will send me an email, and it will send you an email of what your because I have to send it somewhere. But and it's easy, right? So you can just try that out. Okay, and I will also put all of my up in the Zoom chat. Yeah. So I'm going to again post the contact info for me. And the one thing on here though is we have, I should just show it to you. hold on. We're not supposed to, as a speaker, I'm not supposed to. Okay, here we will look at how to set up checks, right? Evaluations. Is this, is this running the way I want it to? Okay, and that is huge because, so here, executions, this shows, the last time someone ran it was a couple days ago. Okay, this is editing, but then evaluations, we haven't set those up yet. Evaluations came out with the new N8N. This N8N that you guys are looking at here is the version 2. It's like 2.0. And they've got a few things that are a little bit different. How it runs, how it looks are a little bit different. The background, you can see the dots back there, but not as easily. And when I click into scrape a website, do the technical audit, so I click in, landing page URL. But if I click in here, this is, in the past, it had to exit, but I always hit that one. All I have to do is just hit escape and then a few other things. But if you want to learn more, just hop onto the FIAI WhatsApp or just send me a message. I do lessons every week, and that's not what this is for. But if you're interested in learning automation, because imagine just with all of this stuff that we do here, you set that up, you take an afternoon, you set all these automations up, and now they are running. And you're spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a week checking on those, your finances, your marketing, your operations. And so you've got a much more clear picture of your company. How are you doing? So you can spend your time, as if you're a leader, on leading. Right? If you're working your way up, you can spend your time working your way up. But again, with all of this AI stuff, it's all about the relationship. And many of you, so yeah, Annette, just send me a direct message, okay? And and then we'll get back to you, because here, I'll put my WhatsApp in here and send me a WhatsApp, and then we can go for it. Anyway, I don't want to take longer because I want you guys to all, have a good evening. Don't spend all night working on this, okay? Because that often happens. Usually someone will start, someone will start playing around with it right after work, or right after the lesson that we have, and then they'll be up all night because, oh, this worked, I want to try this, I want to try that. And so, don't do that, okay? So anyway, yes, Lenovo says Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I would like to wish all of you Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Prayers for those in Australia, the disaster that happened. It's a very sad thing. So we do want to take a minute out of our lives and just appreciate what we have and pray for those who didn't have it. So anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Great to see some of you again, and great to see the new faces. And so send me a message and we will let you know. And then I think this recording will be emailed to you directly, but if not, then I'm going to put it into the WhatsApp group right after this anyway. So anyway, take care. Goodbye. Good luck. Have a good holidays, and we'll see you first week after.